Let's talk about some really unique features that you may not be aware of that you can take advantage of in Colab notebooks. They're called magic functions. And magic functions do things like add the ability to time snippets of code to show you the difference between one version and another. So now let's go ahead and look at this time it snippet here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at two different ways to do the same thing, and I'm going to time each one of them to get a comparison to see which one I want to use in my code. So I import NumPy, and I also am going to use the built-in round function to round this decimal. So if I go through here and I run it, you can see I first use built-in Python round, and it goes through and it runs it in a bunch of different loops, and it shows me that the best three took 500 nanoseconds. And then if I look at NumPy round, you can see it took the best three loops, and these were all microseconds. So we can see actually that the Python version is faster. So this is a great way to actually do a real world test and check your assumptions when you're writing code. And it's really simple. You just use this %sign time it. Similarly, there's a really powerful feature in Colab Notebook called Alias. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create an alias, and the alias is called LS_CSV. And what it is it's actually a very lengthy command. The alias is set to ls-l. I then go and I look at the sample data, and I look for all CSV files. So let's go ahead and wire that up. And now every time I want to look inside of this sample directory, because this is again the default directory that Colab Notebook gives you, I can go and run this alias and it'll show me all the CSV files. So you can see how you could create many of these types of aliases and save yourself a lot of time. Really powerful feature. Next, let's look at the who magic function. So what who does is it shows you what's actually in your memory space. So if we go ahead and we look at who, you can see that I've been running a lot of different code in Python. And if I go ahead and I just take one of those, let's just take the cars variable here, I can actually go ahead and type that out, and you can see that I can actually go through and play around with all those different variables that are available, but this who command actually let me get access to it. And I also can run who ls, which is a similar version of it, and that will actually give me a list version of the same thing. So really powerful feature that you should be aware of that gives you the ability to see what's been happening in your notebook. Now let's also look at something called writefile. Writefile is pretty powerful. What it does is it actually will take the cell that you're in, and it will take all of the output of that cell and put it into a file. So you can see how you use it. You do % writefile, and then you just create a file that you want to write the output to, and then it'll actually literally take the output of the file and put it into this text file. So this could be a good way to, let's say, take a snippet of code and share it with somebody else. If I go through here and I run the cat command, you can see that it took the exact same contents of that cell. So really powerful feature. Now let's go ahead and look at another powerful thing you can do. You can actually use bash inside of Colab Notebook as well. So if I do % bash, I can actually write raw bash directly below this. And so in this example, what I do is I run uname-a, and I can see that this is the Linux kernel that's running on Colab Notebook. Another really powerful thing you can do that's a magic function is I can actually go ahead and use Python 2 inside of a Python 3 notebook. So if we go here and we do % Python 2, I can actually go ahead and print the old way if you've been a longtime Python user, and we can print old school, right? You know that if this was a Python 3 statement, if I go right below that and I say print old school, this will actually blow up because this isn't allowed with Python 3. So pretty powerful way to actually mix and match both Python 2 and Python 3 in your project. Finally, let's go ahead and take a look at HTML. You can also just print out straight HTML blocks directly in Colab Notebook. So there's a lot of really powerful things you can do with this. So if you use % HTML, we can make sure that we only print out the best tags. And so here we go, only the best tags. So in Colab Notebook, there's many different magic functions that you can use. Python 2, HTML, Bash, writefile, Who, all really interesting ways to save time and actually make your workflow much smoother.